jealous. Actually, that is one of the things that in our village board meetings. It's kind of comical. And Jerry Bollig has cats, and they'll wander right in front of the camera, right in front of the computers at times. And it's a nice break of just kind of I don't know. We enjoy it. We kind of joke around about it. All right, we'll get started here in just about 2 minutes.
As the judge waits for an explanation, she shifts her attention back to the defendant.
Anybody get out last night? It was like the most perfect windless evening out last night, and it looks like tonight's about the same temperature wise. These are the kind of nights that just make living around here reminds us of how great it can be, because it was unbelievably perfect last night.
I got out kayaking last night. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, no wind, not cold, not hot, no bugs.
Yeah, tons of flocks on the water from migrating birds.
About as good as it gets. All right, and tonight we also have OCA Media here is taping. I see Paul on here, and they'll be taping that and streaming that, and I'm assuming they'll probably be available also for playback too. But according to my clock, it is 7 o'clock, so we want to be cognizant and precious of people's time. I'll just kick this off. My name is Jeff Rao. I'm the Director of Public Works for the Village of Oregon. This is a public information meeting for what we are calling North Main Street and County Highway MM. There we go. I'm gonna, if I mute you, it's because I can hear background noise and stuff like that, and I don't want it to mess up my, or the presentation speaking or anything like that. So, but we're calling this North Main Street and County Highway MM. I'll first give a few brief introductions. Obviously, I've introduced myself. From Dane County Highway District, we have Sue LeBrun, who is a Town of Oregon resident, and also, I mean, our kids have grown up together, and I think I saw the Wienermobile picture up earlier. One of her, she's an engineer with Dane County, and it's just been a joy. She stepped into this role in the last couple months, and she's doing a great job. And so she's handling the project from the Dane County side. And then for Town and Country Engineering for the Village of Oregon side, we have, sorry, my phone's ringing with somebody, Brian Berquist with Town and Country Engineering. And let me just talk a little bit real quick about the scope of the project and the type of project. And we call this kind of a two-pronged project. So you kind of look at this project as almost two separate projects run by two separate contractors and two separate entities, but within the same corridor. The first thing is, which is the village, kind of the main village portion of the project, deals with the utility replacement and upgrade of water main, about 2,000 feet of water main. Is that right? 2,600 feet of water main from just south of Walgreens on Main Street all the way up to Braun Street, or up to Braun, and then that, as well as some improvements to the manholes through this stretch. We've got some very old block manholes that Brian will talk about, and also some lining of some sewers. And then the other end of this project is Dane County Highway. This is actually still a Dane County highway, and Dane County is under an agreement with the village over a multi-year plan for us to take over the highways within the village from Dane County. This is something that we've agreed to with the village, or with the Dane County, and this is just one of those projects. Several years ago, we did Jefferson Street. That went really well with the county. And now we own and now maintain Jefferson Street from the downtown to Ash Street. And Sue may go into a little more detail on some of that, but a lot of people think that because these roads are within the village, that they are village roads, and we're in the process of changing that. But you know, this is just one of those processes, and one of the ways to jurisdictionally transfer the road to the village is to work together with them to bring the road up to a new condition. And then it's basically it's like you're getting a new car, and you know, then they hand that over to us, and then we have responsibility for the long-term maintenance and care, snow plowing, everything for that road going forward. I wanted to say tonight we'll have a presentation from the Village of Oregon engineer, Brian Berquist. Will talk about the utility portion of the project. Sue LeBrun will talk about the County Highway North, kind of the roadway curb and gutter replacement. And what I would ask is if people can use the chat function for questions. And that way I think we can kind of keep this, hopefully get people's questions in and answered. If you can't use the chat function, that's fine, but we just want to kind of keep it following the agenda that went out for this meeting and everything like that. But we want to keep this open. We want, if there are concerns out there, we definitely want to hear them. We want to be able to respond to them and hopefully provide some reassurance in going forward. So I think I've kind of taken care of some of the housekeeping. Let me see, there's one person in the chat room. Okay, no, that's just that. Okay, so that was just you saying this who you are. So did I say a wrong firm, Brian?
Nope, I hit return too early. I was going to give everybody my phone number and I hit enter before.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
That was my big finish.
Right. Okay, so let's see, the agenda, can you please post the agenda? It's not been provided. The agenda basically is, we just went through a brief introductions. We talked about that. The project overview. I can share this here. Let me go through this real quick. The agenda is right here.
I've got it up also, Jeff. If you
Okay,
want, I can
here we
share
go.
it.
So here's the agenda. We already went through brief introductions, brief project overview, which we just covered. We'll now go into Brian from Town and Country Engineering. We'll talk about the Village of Oregon utility project. And then Sue LeBrun will talk about the County Highway reconstruction project from the Dane County Highway. And then we'll open it up for questions and answers. I'll try to moderate that just with Zoom, trying to make sure we get everyone an opportunity to ask questions and respond. And then after we are done with all of that, I mean, the three of us will stick around on Zoom as long as people want to, and we'll answer questions. And all of us will be providing information tonight if you would want to give us a call or have separate meetings on the side as well. So Brian, I think I can end my screen sharing here. And do you want to go ahead and start your?
If you want to, you already have it on mine.
Thank you.
I wonder if it would work on my phone.
Yeah, I can hop right on.
Are you able to?
Jeff? Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
No, go ahead. Are you able to share your screen?
Yep. Actually, you're disabled. You disabled me.
Sorry. Now try that.
Perfect.
There we go.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Berquist. I'm with Town and Country Engineering. I am the project engineer for the village side of this work scope, and I'll be walking the group through some of the nitty gritty on what the construction is going to entail, cover some of the village's schedule and how that dovetails in with the county's work crew schedule, talk about how traffic is going to be maintained to the residents and the business. It's a very long corridor, a very busy corridor. That traffic maintenance was a big part of the project plan development. And then cover real quickly just some of the ins and outs of living along a construction project for those of you who haven't done that yet. As Jeff indicated, the intention for tonight is to be a fairly informal discussion about the project, airing out any other questions or concerns that may come from neighbors or friends that weren't able to make it tonight. I'll be posting my email and phone number in the chat, and please feel free to give me a call or drop me an email, and we'd be happy to meet with you at your home, at your business, to cover any other questions. I actually live in the village. I'm a resident, so I can be readily available for questions up to construction and during construction. So for starters, the project, as Jeff indicated, is along Main Street from almost downtown, starting at Grove Street and extending all the way to the village limits. The project will involve two sets of construction crews, one that is under village contract. We recently opened bids for that. That contractor is going to be Speedway Sanitary, located in Middleton, Wisconsin, and have a long history of this type of municipal street and utility construction. And then, of course, the Dane County Highway crews, which will be following the village contractor in buttoning things up and rebuilding the road itself. The project is broken up into three main scopes on the village side. The first is sanitary sewers. I've highlighted green areas where the village contractor will be working on sanitary sewer. Most of the pipes underground, despite their age, are in quite good shape. The village does a real nice job of regularly televising those, cleaning those, and did so before we designed the project, and we found that almost all the pipes are in great condition. However, as Jeff mentioned, the manholes, most of them will need to be replaced. They were built at a time when brick and block construction was standard. Nowadays, we build them with prefab concrete, which is a lot more sound from a structural standpoint as well as a leaking standpoint. So all these green dots, and if you've driven the corridor, you'll notice those in the south lanes. You'll hit them with your tires. Those will be replaced.
Brian, maybe give reference to
location they currently are.
Brian, maybe give references because just so people can kind of tell it's where you are on the project there.
Oh, sure. Yes. Here I'm starting at Grove Street. So this is the southern limit of the project. This green circle represents a manhole right on its exact location as it currently sits. That work will involve digging a hole in that spot about 15 feet in diameter and replacing that manhole, and then moving on to the next one. I'll talk a little bit more about traffic control once I cover all the scope items, but safe to say that local traffic will be maintained throughout the project, both for residents and for businesses. You can see these green dots. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I didn't say
you
anything.
can see these green dots are fairly regular, every few hundred feet. And because they were all built around the same time, almost all of them need to be replaced. Here's a map for the library as we head north. During this work, there won't be much action beyond these local manholes. These manholes will take about 2 days each. So there'll be a flurry of activity at this manhole while it's being replaced. Here's Lincoln. And then the crews would move on to the next manhole, working their way up the street. Some of the manholes had already been replaced. In the past, they had done that previously, so we're not replacing every single one. But as you can see from the the green coverage, there are quite a few of them that need to be replaced. Once we get north of Netherwood, so this is the Walgreens here on the corner, we do start running into some of the piping that was in poor condition and will need to be replaced. There'll be a stretch right by the Dean Clinic, and then another one across from Subway down to Richards Road. That construction involves digging a trench, also about 15 feet wide, but along this entire stretch to allow the crews to remove old pipe and reinstall a new pipe in its place and backfill that up. The sanitary sewer pipe work generally takes about a day to go 200 feet, give or take. So you will see them coming as they go. As they cross driveways, if any driveways are impacted, we'll be notifying residents and businesses in advance to make sure that we've got acceptable alternate access plans in place before the equipment shows up and before the holes start being dug. And then heading north, you can see we still do have a couple more manholes that we'll be needing to replace. There will also be some unseen sanitary sewer work. There are a few areas that are leaking, pipes that are in otherwise reasonable shape but are leaking, that those are going to be lined. That's done via trenchless construction, but that will include 3 stretches of sanitary sewer on the project as well. The largest thrust of the village project involves water main replacement, and that's depicted by the blue lines on the map. You'll notice that there are no lines south of Franklin. The water main south of Franklin into downtown has been replaced on 2 separate projects. The most recent was the downtown project, of course, but then a few decades before that, from downtown to Franklin was already replaced. So the village scope this year would be to continue that replacement. The existing mains are both old and have been subject to water main breaks, as well as undersized. So the main will be an 8-inch main running north and south on Main Street, as well as a 12-inch main here on Netherwood that will complete part of the village's long-range water system plan and allow for potential future growth eastward down Netherwood. That project will involve constructing new water main pretty much down the middle of the roadway. Like the sanitary sewer construction, that does involve a trench and a pace of about 200 feet a day. So as the contractor moves along the project, we won't be necessarily impacting driveways because it'll be running down the middle, but it will impact that left turn lane. As we go through, you can see that there are little stubs of water pipe coming off the new main. Those are connections from the main to existing water services. Those are smaller diameter pipes that run from the main all the way into your basements. Those get replaced to approximately the right-of-way line. The right-of-way is the corridor of property that the street sits inside of and is roughly depicted by the black lines on the map. So once the main is constructed, the village contractor will fill the main, perform 2 bacteria tests to confirm that the water is safe, perform a pressure test to make sure the main does not leak, and then beginning on one end or the other, we'll start rehooking properties to this new main. Another part of the project scope is going to involve sidewalks. Jeff mentioned that Dane County will be constructing the roadway, but most of the sidewalk work will be undertaken by the village contractor. In addition to patching all of the existing sidewalk, we walked it with village staff and noted all the cracks and humps and dips That'll be fixed as part of the project. We're also going to have to cross those sidewalks with water laterals and with new fire hydrants. So all those areas will be patched in. In addition to that, the village has an alternate bid in place that the board will consider next week to extend sidewalk from where it currently ends here at Quick Trip up to Braun Road. We're stopping at Braun Road for the time being because, as you can sort of see in the aerial photo, the recent construction, not that recent, 5, 6, 7 years, construction of traffic signals there occupies the corridor where the sidewalk goes. And the intention of this sidewalk is that it would be a part of the route to the potential new school site on the north side of town, and that when and if these signals ever get replaced, that they would be moved, and the sidewalk, if the village wants, could be extended at that time. For now, as I mentioned, it is a bid alternate that the board will be considering next week. But if selected, then the sidewalk would end here and a new crosswalk would be constructed along the pedestrian signal here at Braun. We do have approximate project schedules in hand. The village contractor is mostly going to be trying their best to stay ahead of the Dane County crews. While the village will be constructing underground improvements, the county's work will be confined to the surface improvements. So the county will essentially be cleaning up after the work is completed. We are anticipating a construction start on the village project on or about first week of May. Weather between now and then will impact that, of course. That will begin south of Netherwood Road. So the area shaded there would be the first part of construction for the village. And again, that's going to incorporate both the sanitary sewer manhole replacements in that zone, as well as a portion of the water main that's south of Netherwood. The goal, or the requirement, is that the contractor would complete those improvements prior to June 4, upon which time the village contractor would transition to the area north of Netherwood. And then on or about the same time, crews will enter the site and start rebuilding the roadway coming from downtown and heading north. The village contractor's got a little bit more work to do on the north half. We expect that to be completed on or about July 9th. And then any of the remaining sidewalk improvements, sidewalk repairs outside of the roadway itself would be completed before August 1st. And then highway crews would continue charging north and complete their work towards the end of summer. From a traffic control standpoint, I mentioned a little bit before that the village contractor is going to be bound to maintain traffic in both directions for local traffic at all times. Through traffic, however, will be assigned detour route that's anticipated to simply be around Oregon via the two exits on the north and south ends. Local traffic, and that would include anyone who lives on the project, anyone who wants to do business on the project, all the customers of all businesses included, will be accommodated. From the village project side, that'll be done in a variety of ways. On the side of the project where a lot of the work is fairly isolated to those manhole locations and to a short amount of water main. That's anticipated to occur by simply shifting traffic for that particular day to one side of the road or the other. Almost all of the sanitary sewer is right in the southbound lanes, but the roadway itself, because there's no, is plenty wide enough for those 2 lanes of traffic to be shifted to the east while work is being done on those sewers. Once the project approaches Netherwood and we get into the water main work, I mentioned that the water main is going to be built right down the middle. So in those cases, what we're going to see is that traffic will be pushed to the sides. So some traffic will be pushed far south, north traffic will be pushed far north, and the work would occur in the middle. That will eliminate most abilities to turn left, certainly in the working zone. As the contractor completes their work, that trench will be filled with gravel, and we will be constructing temporary gravel crossings of Main Street so that left turns can occur, but again, those would be on gravel and would be prohibited when there's work in this area. Once the main lines are completed, we do have some work to do in the Netherwood Road intersection, as well as, at Richards Road. Both of those involve running new water main east and west to get this new pipe outside of Main Street so that, if the village decides to extend those mains to the east, we don't have to impact Main Street traffic in the future. During those times, Netherwood Road and Richards Road would be closed. There's simply
listen,
not
it's
enough
pretty interesting.
room to accommodate east-west traffic at those intersections. We are fortunate in that the village has a fairly connected street network, both on Thompson Drive and on Market Street. Got a label in there somewhere. That would accommodate movements throughout the businesses on those isolated work times. Once the water main is completed, the village contractor will actually be paving the first layer of asphalt in their exposed trenches. That's going to be done for 2 reasons. The first of which is that there will be a lag when the village contractor is completed with their work prior to the county crews arriving on any particular site. Because this is a county highway, the pavement cross-section actually calls for 5 inches of asphalt. And we don't want to leave that 5 inches low for a month or a week or even a day if we didn't have to. So the village contractor will be paving the first 3 inches of that trench to accommodate traffic in that incremental time from when the village contractor is complete and the county crews have not yet arrived. The other reason we're doing that is digging these holes for the pipes does make a bit of a mess, as you can imagine. In order to get a 8-foot deep hole to replace an 8-foot or 7-foot deep water main, you generally have to make a 10 to 15 foot wide excavation. And we wanted to fill that with gravel that wouldn't be sacrificed when the county crews arrived. So this allows for some cost savings in that the village crews will actually be building a little bit of a corridor of new Main Street as they go. So it saves a little cost and a little time on the county side as well. Beyond that, I wanted to cover a few kind of living with construction 101 items. Our construction inspector, Kevin Johnson, went door to door earlier this week with a little bit of an informational letter, both alerting folks to the meeting tonight if you didn't see it in the paper, but also with some information about the project and how it could and would impact your properties. For folks that are along the sanitary sewer work, you will have no impact to your sanitary sewer service whatsoever. You can continue to flush, do laundry, take showers, baths. You won't notice any work is being done in the sewers. And that's for the whole project corridor. The folks that happen to have driveways right next to manholes, those manholes are 2-foot diameter metal lids in the street. So if you get a minute after the meeting and you look out front, if you've got a metal lid in front of your driveway, that's a sewer manhole. Those folks would have temporary closure to your driveway during that excavation. Driveways will be opened at night using gravel. And then you'll be driving on that gravel surface for the rest of the project. But the contractor will maintain those. If they get rutted up, if they get washed out, they'll be back to take care of that and make sure your driveways are usable. For the folks that have cracked, heaved, shifted concrete sidewalk out front, during that time, we will need approximately 2 to 3 weeks of sidewalk closure, where this contractor would remove the damaged pieces of sidewalk, prepare and form up for new sidewalk, and then pour the new sidewalk. Concrete does take 7 days to harden, strong enough so that a car can drive over it. So if you have damaged concrete in your driveways, we'll be knocking on doors, of course, before anything gets removed. But if you happen to have events planned or parties or contractors coming, or if you or your neighbors have mobility concerns that need to be accommodated, please just let us know. We have worked with folks that have daily doctor appointments, daily Meal on Wheels deliveries. We can always construct some sort of temporary arrangement up to and including pouring driveways in half sections so that vehicles continue to be accommodated. So again, please feel free to drop me a note or give me a call between anytime. Really, we can be sure to accommodate those. For the water main, things get a little more involved. The water system of any community is pressurized. So we're not able to work on the old system while providing service. So what we do is we actually construct a parallel system that allows this new main to be built while the old main is still in service. That allows for testing of the new main and making sure that we're competent to connect to your new or to your old services. That does involve generally 2 outages for sure. For almost all properties that are near the water main. That's 1 to connect the new main to the old main. So that'll be 1 outage. Those are noticed ahead of time. Everyone will get a flyer given the time window. Those generally take about 4 hours of shutdown to properly hook the new main to the old main. And then there'll be another outage when your specific property is hooked onto the new main. Those generally are less than 4 hours, but we like to tell people to plan on 4 hours in case something goes wrong. Those also will be noticed ahead of time so that you know not to be taking a shower or something at that time. And of course, the contractor does not do those tie-ins at 7 a.m. In particular for the businesses, however, that can create a problem. So we'll be interfacing with all the businesses on a time period that's the least inconvenient. I wouldn't want to sugarcoat things too much here. Because the existing main is fairly fragile, the new main is needed, and we want to try and minimize things to as much of an extent as we can. That being said, part of the reason the project on Dane is the existing mains had emergency breaks, unplanned breaks throughout the last 15, 20 years. It is always possible that the existing main just breaks during the project. Those are obviously emergency situations. The contractor would immediately get in touch with the village to safely shut down the water. Our inspector will be helping let everybody know what's going on. And that's an all hands on deck event. Water service would be restored as soon as possible, but unfortunately, given the nature of those accidental breaks, obviously they're not able to be planned. But again, very cognizant of the potential inconvenience here for water shutoff. So we will be all ears to folks if they have particular needs. That's another thing that we can certainly accommodate, particularly if we know ahead of time. We've worked with in houses, continuous water, it can only be out for a half hour, so they can do certain things like prepare the plumbing in advance if need be. Other things to be aware of, particularly for the residential areas that have some of the large green grass spaces between the sidewalk and the curb. If the sidewalk's going to be replaced, we will need not only to replace those pieces of sidewalk themselves, but generally there's about a 2-foot zone of collateral damage on each side of the sidewalk. So if you happen to have flowers or invisible fencing or irrigation lines in those areas, please have those items removed prior to the contractor coming through. Even if we know they're there, particularly with invisible fence, it's so fine a wire that it's almost impossible to find it without breaking it. So we are have those items, please have those relocated prior to the work beginning, and then you can reinstall them once completed. With that, that wraps up my presentation. And again, I'll be here virtually tonight as long as needed to answer questions from the chat or specific questions about your property, and would be more than happy to meet with folks on a one-on-one basis out in front of your specific area of the village to cover any other questions folks have.
Great. Brian, for your stuff, I'll just go through some of these questions, and I think some of them have been answered pretty well in what you have asked here. We already addressed the agenda and other stuff like that. I will say I encourage anyone to sign up for e-Notify on the village website. The e-Notify is something that can send out email blasts of updates and everything. We found our residents really like that, to remain notified of things that are going on and stuff that is published, but it's always available on our website. We talked about, Brian, you did talk about how long do you expect the project to take start to finish? It looks like it's about a May to July and possibly into August. Sue LeBrun will talk a little bit about that. You did confirm that the street will remain open to at least one lane of traffic. Will the business driveways be impacted? Sue, you'll be talking about the business driveways and everything, so you'll address that in your discussion. Will property owners have special assessments for sidewalk repairs? No, there's not a plan to have sidewalk assessments for sidewalk repairs. Our current policy is when we do brand new sidewalk as part of a construction, we will assess landowners, but since this majority is just sidewalk repairs, we do not assess for those. You talked about will residents or businesses be without water for extended periods of time? No, I mean, the plan is at max 4 hours. Now, obviously, that's the plan. And our experience, honestly, and when we've done other projects, is it's less than 4 hours. But, we're dealing with a system that is old, and as we make those changes, that can be difficult sometimes to estimate. Sue did confirm that all the the concrete ramps for the sidewalks will be brought up to ADA standards. That's a wonderful addition that'll be brought into this corridor. The question is where's the new potential school site? It's off topic, but the school district purchased all of the land to the east of Highway 14, just north of the cemetery. So as you're going up and you pass McDonald's, you pass the cemetery on your right. If you look off to your right, all of that land is a planned site for the school. And there's still some things that the village and the school have to work out with all of that, but that is the land that they own. A question here from Linda. We're just on the back end of a pandemic, and now you're going to route all through traffic around all businesses for an entire summer. Is now really the right time to do this work? Unfortunately, any type of corridor, busy corridor, there really is never a perfect time to do work like this. But we want to get this work done. This is something that's been needed for a very, very long time period. And this is an important project for the village. How much notice is those out of the outages will be received? Brian, usually we try to give what, 3 days? Or is it more than that?
We usually
water.
shoot for 48 hours is what we've got in the contract. But
Okay.
if folks have needs, and I will say, we were also the engineers on the Janesville Street and Park Street project this past summer, which had restaurants and hotels and quick tile as well, and worked very closely with them to make sure they had not a 4-week advance notice of the exact day, but certainly a rolling, okay, it's probably going to be the last week of June. And then as that approached, we can kind of hone in on that as well. Certainly if folks, businesses or residents, if the water service is going to cause some issues for your family or for your business, please don't reach out to us for sure. We don't want to surprise anybody for obvious reasons. And we do know roughly when things are going to happen at this point, and we'll know a lot more as things get closer.
Yeah.
The reason we don't provide more than that notice for a specific outage is, a heavy rainstorm can push things a day or two, and we're just unable to predict that kind of action.
And lastly, Linda, I know you're upset and frustrated, but as far as the utilities, your utilities for your water services off of Market Street and off the back of your building, both for water and sewer. So there really should be, as far as utility disruption, there should be no impact to your building and the other ones, the Weaver Auto Parts and all of those. So that should answer, I think, your questions for the utilities. So moving on, we'll welcome Sue. Sue LeBrun, are you able to share your screen, or do I need to do this again?
Well, we will find out in a minute. Let's give this a try.
There we go.
Okay, is that showing up okay?
It is on my screen, yes.
Okay, so this is a combined project, as Jeff said, between Dane County and the Village of Oregon. It's a county highway, all the way from, well, this whole stretch is county owned now, but will be transferred to the village after this construction. So our project where we'll be reconstructing the road is shown in yellow here. It's a little over a mile. And there will be a few places at the beginning, way at the north, way at the north, and then around Netherwood, and then down by Grove Street, south of Grove Street, where we're not digging up the whole road, we're just milling it and taking off a couple inches and then doing an overlay. But the main part of the project will be reconstruction from north of Netherwood up to about McDonald's. And that reconstruction is just a full, we take out all the pavement, all the sub-base material, all the curb and gutter, and just put in new construction. So then there's reconstruction on the area from just south of Netherwood down to Grove Street as well.
It's important to note that the curb and gutter will be, the asphalt will be replaced, the curb and gutter and the driveway aprons up to the sidewalk will be all new.
Right. So we're doing a complete reconstruction because, as you can tell, it's rough out there, and it's been resurfaced, but that was back in 1996 was the last time this was improved. So it is definitely due for some improvements, and resurfacing just won't do it. It's a little bit beyond that. So we're doing a complete reconstruction for the most part, except for those, the beginning part, the end part, and at Netherwood, which has already been reconstructed. So the work that's included is removing the curb and gutter, removing the pavement, all the material under that, the rock and the base and sub-base material. We're adjusting a couple of inlets and inlet covers. Then we'll be placing new sub-base material and base cores. So it's about 2 feet of material that we're going down and replacing. Then we're putting in new curb and gutter and some of the driveway aprons, not all of them, I don't think. If they're in good condition, we might just leave some. But it will be, as Jeff said, all the way from the curb and gutter up to the sidewalk. And then we'll be placing 5 inches of asphalt pavement in 2 lifts, a 3-inch and then a 2-inch layer. The county is replacing the sidewalks at intersections, and we're updating the curb ramps to ADA standards. So that should be just about every intersection where there's a crosswalk. And then we'll be doing the pavement markings, and I'm happy to say there will be bike lanes painted on the area. Well, there's already bike lanes north of Netherwood, narrow ones, but we're putting in 4-foot bike lane markings on the area south of Netherwood. We talked a little bit about traffic already, but we really do need to detour the through traffic. There's just gonna be so much work going on in here that we can't have full traffic going through there and still get any construction done, or it would take probably 6 months to a year if we couldn't detour some of that traffic. We're hoping to have this all done in roughly 3 or 4 months. And that's not full disruption for 3 or 4 months. That's like sporadic. It's the different phases, the sanitary sewer, and then the water main, and then the road reconstruction. So the detour that will be marked is just going down 14, and then people can come back up this way. And if they're coming in on Jefferson, they'll be routed down this way instead of up that way, unless they're just going to right here. And then this color is the closed to through traffic. However, it's important to note that is open for local traffic. During phase 1, at least of the road construction, throughout, there's going to be at least 1 lane of traffic in each direction, and driveway access is maintained. So while we're down here, after the village finishes their sanitary sewer and water main work down here, we'll come in and we're starting our road construction down here. So taking out the pavement and the curb and gutter and the sub-base material. And then the paving will take place after all that is placed back in there. So after we finish the road work down here, we'll be moving up here. And because it's barely wide enough for 4 lanes of traffic, we'll be squishing traffic over to one side. So there's 1 lane in each direction, and we'll be doing the construction on the closed side, and then we'll flip that. The tentative schedule for the road construction, this is not talking about the sanitary sewer or the water main. The road construction will take place south of Netherwood from about June 9th to July 8th. And then north of Netherwood, it will be about July 11th through the end of August. Those schedules are very sensitive to weather and other conditions. So, subject to change, but we're going to try and keep people updated on our website. This is our website right here, if you want to check on it. It's just, if you look up County of Dane and then go to highway projects, you should be able to find what you need. Also, the village will be keeping people updated with information. Businesses open as usual. Access will be maintained. People are encouraged to continue shopping in Oregon. There's always a way to get into the businesses, and they depend on us shopping there. Residents' driveways, access will be maintained. There will be inconvenient times and days where you, like Brian said, if we have to do someone's driveway half at a time, we'll do what we have to do to make sure that, if people are getting Meals on Wheels or whatever their needs are, just make us aware, and we'll try our best to work with you on that. Through traffic will be detoured. Local traffic is allowed. I know Linda asked and was concerned about routing through traffic away from the village, and yeah, the traffic count will be down somewhat, but the people who are truly coming there to shop will still be coming in and still have access. Businesses, employees, and customers are encouraged to use the back or the side driveways off of Main Street if possible. They'll still be open on Main Street, but just it'll be faster and easier for you to just use other accesses. So using Braun and Market Street, Richards Road, Netherwood, just help people get around back here, so they don't have to be on Main Street as much. When it's down to one lane in each direction and no center turn lane, it will get congested. So the more we can keep people on those back roads, the better it'll be for everyone. Residents who live off Main Street are encouraged to use back and side streets and other routes to avoid Main Street south of Netherwood to Grove Street during our phase 1. So we're hoping that it can be just down to people who have driveways on Main Street in that segment. Everybody else should be able to use a side road or back road to get to where they're going. Okay, sorry, I guess this is in there twice, but here's the schedule again. What to expect. This is a photo of another project that was similar. One big difference is the sidewalk is all ripped up here. That probably, there will just be little spots of sidewalk fixing. But pretty much that's dug down about 2 feet, and there's going to be equipment all over the place. So if you can avoid it, or time your trip or combine your trips so you don't have to make as many trips through the construction zone, you'll be better off and we'll be better off. So after we remove all the base and sub-base material and then put it back in there, the next step will be putting in curb and gutter, and it'll look a lot like this. Then when we're done, we'll have 2 smooth 11-foot lanes and 2 4-foot bike lanes plus the gutter. So it should be very comfortable biking conditions for all the bikers in Oregon. I'd like to just remind people to please keep our crews safe. These are the same folks that keep our roads clear of snow and ice in the winter, keep us safe. So please just remember to keep them safe, slow down, be alert, and avoid the area if possible. Here's my contact information. I can put my email in the chat box as well, but you can also get my information from Jeff or Brian, or our website. And that's all I have.
Great.
But I can take questions.
And I would like to echo a little bit what Sue said. And one of the things that just continues to always frustrate me with projects is, just asking people to be patient when they drive through them. I talk to workers who are out there, and there are vehicles that are traveling way too close, way too fast. And we never want to see someone injured, killed on any project. And we've been very fortunate to not have that, but it doesn't take that much longer to get to where you need to go. And sometimes understanding that these people don't necessarily want to be out in the middle of the road either. So we understand it's hard and it's frustrating to have this much disruption. We hope you'll look at the end game. If you get frustrated, go down Jefferson Street and see how nice it is, and you'll hopefully see the end game and everything like that. But okay. Questions. I don't have any other, let's see, any other questions. Patrick Mozon, love the bike lanes. Thank you. Yes, we love those too. And that's part of Elise Cruz's and all of ours direction in wanting to make our community more bike friendly. She's working hard on that. And every year we're hoping to increase our position as a bike friendly community. So yeah, we're excited about that too. This is a great question. Will there be a list of available plumbers to replace our lead pipe mains? Brian, do we anticipate, maybe we should talk a little bit about lead services. That'd be a great question.
You bet. Yeah, for the folks that had a chance to read through the letter, or for the folks that are going to get new water laterals, obviously you've heard or read in the news about the issues that creates in your drinking water if you have lead pipes. So the village enacted an ordinance a few years back that actually makes leaving a known lead lateral against village ordinance. And that's from a public safety standpoint. We have found one or two lead services here or there on projects in the village of this vintage. If you know that you happen to have a service to your home, we do encourage you to, as the attendee, contact a plumber and get that coordinated ahead of time. If you don't know, you can do a quick test with just a screwdriver and a magnet. If you go down to your basement where your water meter is, the side of the pipe that goes into the floor or the wall would be your lateral. You can just scratch that up with a screwdriver. If it's shiny and looks like a penny, it's copper. If it's shiny and looks like steel, then grab a magnet and hold it against the pipe. If it is magnetic, it's galvanized steel. If it's not magnetic, it's lead. There's no real rhyme or reason to exactly why some homes or businesses have lead services. It's generally things that are, pre-1960, but we work in some communities that don't have a single one, and we work in others that have tons. It sort of just depends on the plumber who did the work for that original home. There are any number of local plumbers that can handle that work. In the past, a guy by the name of Bill Fox out of Janesville has done a lot of those. He did a number of them on Jefferson Street, and also was engaged in some for the ones we found on Park. I'll put his phone number here in the chat.
Yeah, he did.
You're welcome to contact him, but also almost any.
Yeah, I was going
to. With an excavator can handle that.
Yeah, and we worked as well as when we did South Main Street. There were a couple individuals that were providing quotes to people. I will say G. Fox and Sons Construction, I think, was one of the more reasonable. As a village, we can't recommend somebody, but I can tell you that they've done a lot of work and did a lot of them on South Main. And I don't know if they did. That was the contractor that ended up doing the ones on Jefferson, wasn't it, Brian?
No, Bill was engaged to come clean up.
Oh, okay, that's right. That's right. Okay. That's a great question that just came through. Will there be signage provided to notify customers that businesses are open during construction? Excellent question, and absolutely yes. We did this when we did the downtown, and we did it when we did some area, the area where Jefferson Crossing apartments are. I've been in communication with Judy Knudsen and the Chamber of Commerce. They are going to be helping us as well with some kind of distribution to their business members. We will make sure there is signage up, and those are kind of the things that that we work with, just to make sure that we have a mobile message board sign we can put up there as well that runs off of the solar and battery, and kind of reminds people to shop local and stay local. Yeah, Judy, we'll work with Judy on that type of kind of interaction with the public. Okay, any other questions? Or if you're unable to enter the chat, you can unmute yourself and ask a question as well. So what we'll do tomorrow is, well, tomorrow or first of next week, we will be putting out just a contact list for the project. It'll have my contact information. It'll have Brian's. It'll have Sue's. It'll have village emergency contact information if something happens in the middle of the night. And we can put some information on there as some of these contractors that have done lead service line replacements. If you are unsure of if you're unsure of the type of water service lateral you have, my water guys would be happy to stop by. If you give me a call, let me know. We can schedule a time when they can come by, take a look at your water line, and they'd be able to tell you real quickly what they see and what type of material they think it is. So we definitely want to try to make this as painless as possible, but like Brian said, we're not going to sugarcoat something and say that it's not going to be disruptive, because it will be. And we will stick around afterwards to answer any questions. This will just continue on in this format till people don't have any other questions. So. Okay.
I guess I'd like to, this is Linda States. I'd like to have somebody help me to understand how we could be in this position where we're notified when we read it in the Oregon Observer, and businesses are given approximately a month to prepare for through traffic to be diverted around the community for 3 to 4 months. I've spoken with some other independent grocers, and in their communities, they were given up to a year of notice for this type of a project.
Yeah,
So I guess I'm just a little confused about why we're not working together, cooperating to try and make this the best possible experience for everyone.
Yeah. This project's been part of our capital improvement plan, like we talked about, and has been discussed at village board meetings, in our budget meetings. It's been, it's been part of our memorandum of understanding, which was, I think, 2015. So those are type of things. And don't get me wrong. I don't expect everyone to be 100% up to speed. Not everyone's checking our website every day. I understand that. But this is, I think a lot of people I've talked to along here are aware that, we're doing the project, and, it's unfortunate. I know how you feel, and I'm sorry you feel like that, but, I don't know if, Sue, or I know Brian got kicked off the internet. He's signing back in, but Sue, would you have any thoughts on that from the county perspective?
Yeah, I'm sorry too that you didn't get the notice that you would have liked to get. I just started this job 3 months ago, so I'm learning the process for public meetings and public notifications, and we're getting other comments, other projects similar to yours. So it's something that I think we're going to take a closer look at on how we can be better informing of the public. We do have a website. I think I put it on, yeah, it was on one of my slides. So you can see not only information about this project, but we have about 8 other paving projects going on this summer. So some of them are pretty close by too. There's one of them up on B between MM and 51. And we're also redoing A down between D and MM. So yeah, lots of things going on with the county, and it hasn't always been something that they do to involve the public, but I think that's something we're going to be taking a closer look at.
Mhm.
So I have a
Just
question
giving more
on,
notice.
sorry,
Yes, Judy.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
have a question on, we're talking about people getting off 14 and they have to go to the second exit instead of the first. Can we not have them get off? Can we wait and let a lot of people go on the first exit when you're doing the south side so that maybe they can go down Richards Road or Brown Road or something like that so that they can still hit the businesses on the north side?
Because it will be open, I mean, it's always open to local traffic, which means if you have business in that, if you live in that area, if you have business in the area, you're not only allowed, you're encouraged to continue with your plans. It is open to people like that, but the through traffic, if they're trying to get down to, down by headquarters or the middle school or something like
Right,
that.
right. But then
they'd be
we're
better
saying
off.
that they won't come back through again. And this is why if they're doing the south side of Main Street, can we leave it so that people can go around and get like to Bill's Foods or to the other businesses there? And I see First is on here too. So
Yeah.
just trying to make sure that people can get there and otherwise block it off down toward the other, further down by the church, by the Catholic Church.
If it were just the road construction at that point, it would be simple enough that we could probably swing that. But while we're working on the area south of Netherwood, there's still going to be water main work going on north of Netherwood. So there too, they can't have full traffic and get their work done safely. So
One
it's
thing
just
I'd-
that all this work is happening around the same time. But the good news is, all this work will be done for, 20 years.
One thing I'd want to quickly point out also, I apologize, my internet went out, but if it hasn't been already addressed or covered, there won't be like hard shutdowns of Main Street. The detour route, while posted, there will not be hard barricades like you may have seen on Park
Right.
Street this summer, where we had to shut the whole road down. There will be anyone who wants to go to any homes or any businesses will not have to drive through a barricade. There will be one lane north and one lane southbound throughout for folks that really wanted to take it. So it won't be quite as significant as some of the closures that you may have seen on Park Street again last summer, or even Jefferson 3 years ago, where that had hard shutdown. Now this will be maintained during construction.
So if I get off 14, it'll say local traffic only. Is that what it's going to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you see, in those situations, we would put local businesses open on those signs as well. Correct, Sue? I mean, we'd be allowed to do that, wouldn't we?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And what I've done in the past is actually, rather than just, we've actually had, and Brian, I'll talk to you about this, but we've actually had local sign companies like Ticey, or we do one, the owners live in Oregon, but they do business out of Fitchburg. do these, it's like a plasticized, I think it's like a honeycomb plastic core type of thing that lasts for a really long time. We need a really long time, but
As long as it gets us through 4 months.
it has to get us through 3 or 4 months. Yep.
Mhm.
And to be honest with you, we're in a very nice dry year so far. I mean, this is the first time we've actually started to see a lot of our ponds reseed. Now that's the kiss of death when I say something like that, because who knows, the minute we open up a trench, then we get downpoured. But it's been very positive so far, and we're hoping that that dry season continues through summer here to give us a nice construction window.
The other thing to note is that on the weekend, there will be little to no work going on. So the crews will try to button it up the best they can. So you can have almost normal traffic when there's not work going on, but obviously they're not going to take all the barrels out or remove the barricades to indicate local traffic only, but it will be free from construction activity for the most part on weekends.
Yep.
And outside work hours, so in the evening.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions from public? Okay. Well, I want to thank again, thank Sue and Dane County Highway. This is, we get, honestly, and this is not a jab at Dane County Highway, but we get so many complaints about the condition of North Main Street through the years. And we also get complaints on what we call Janesville Street, but that's coming in a year to 2 years. But this is an important project for the village. We're very much looking forward to this being, cleaned up and given a really nice roadway through that. And the Dane County crews, I'll be honest with you, they do a fantastic job. It's not like hiring. The village is forced to sometimes hire the lowest cost contractor. Dane County is not held to that kind of requirement. They use their own crews and they get in, get it done, and do it well. So I have a lot of confidence in Sue and her team. And Brian with Town and Country, they do an outstanding job. We've worked with them for many years. One thing I've noticed about Town and Country is they're very attentive to people's concerns, both residents and businesses. We just went through a project at South Park and Janesville Street, and that was a very good project. It was also in a very busy business corridor. I did not receive a single complaint from any business along that route during construction, and that's a testimony to how well they handled the contract and the construction. And we had some weather delays there too. So, but they kept things open for everybody, and it worked out really, really well. So I just want to thank them both. They're representing village exceptionally well, and we're looking forward to continue to work with them through this. As we wrap this up tonight, thank you to everyone who has attended. We really do value your input. We value your opinions. We understand and we feel your pain because, quite honestly, we're residents here, and one day in the future, my road and your road and roads in front of your house will be torn up, and we'll all face the pain as well. So we understand and deal with that on a daily basis too. So. But thank you very much to everybody. Like I said, Brian and Sue and myself will stick around and answer any questions until it just gets too awkwardly quiet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Brian, instead of trying to DM you, you think there's going to be 2 pieces of sidewalk that we'll have to replace? I live in that at that address, so I don't have to meet there.
Okay.
I see it every morning.
Yes, we're seeing 2. One towards the south end of your driveway apron and one towards the north end of your driveway apron. I do know that wall. I drive by it twice a day. I don't anticipate an issue with it,
Okay.
but if you get a chance to go take a look out there and you
No,
think that there
I
could be
pretty
three
much,
squares or
yeah.
something like that.
I think I know which ones you're talking about. And as a person who walks this part of the village every morning, I am thrilled that some of these sidewalks are going to be replaced. I think this is going to be, I mean, it'll be much safer if nothing else. So thank you. And really, I think this whole project will create such an excellent entrance to our community and a welcoming entrance to our community. I've lived in a lot of old houses and I know that you need to just tear things apart sometimes and you live with the mess, but you end up with a better product in the end. You end up with a better place to live. And I think the way you have to look at this.
Thank you. I forgot to bring up, for those who are along this corridor and any corridor in the village just passed for the first time a terrace tree reimbursement program that allows up to 2 trees to be planted by yourself, minimum 1-inch diameter of the trunk in your terrace area between the sidewalk and the curb. And the village will reimburse up to 50%, up to $100 per tree. So and that's as funds allow, but there's some information on our website. It's really kind of a neat program. We're trying to get some trees back into our village following the emerald ash borer situation, but take a look on our website. It's something kind of new, and give me a call if you have any questions on it. But don't plant the trees until after we're done with the project.
Well, Jeff, Erfurth Body Shop has been in business for 63 years, and hopefully this project will go smooth and we can be in business for another 63 years.
Absolutely.
Anticipate good roads and an easy way to get into the shop. So,
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're muted now. I just wanted to say I'm really very excited about the bike path along the way. I think that's going to be a wonderful improvement, and also it'll tie in with our library.
Exactly
going
right.
Main Street. So that's
exactly
perfect.
Right. Yep.
So we're very supportive.
Ray, if you remember, one of the
Thank
things
you.
that we have in our budget is an actual signalized crossing for the library, a pedestrian crossing. It'll be an actual stop light is the plan. So that'll physically stop traffic in both directions and be a dedicated crosswalk at that location. And we have money planned in our budget for that in the timing of when we construct the library.
Excellent.
Yep.
We're very happy about that.
Yeah, it'll be good.
All integrated. It's all coming together. So
Absolutely. It's almost like we've thought it out, huh?
I think you did. Good job.
So all the road work though is replacing the existing road. The roads themselves aren't being widened or anything like that.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah.
Good.
Well, excellent presentation. It really helped a lot. So we appreciate it.
Thank you, Ray.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
I think we could say bye.
And Judy, when you're in the office next time, maybe just let's take a few minutes and let's meet, and we'll come up with kind of some thoughts and ideas.
Sounds perfect.
And get those signs ordered.
Take care.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye. Have a good night. Thank you.
Bye.
Unfortunately, I was the only one representing our store that was able to attend tonight. Quite honestly, it was pretty short notice for us. So I've already passed on all of the notes that I took to my partners, and we will be in touch if we would like to schedule a one-on-one meeting to ask
Yeah.
any additional questions or express any other concerns that we might have. I think to be perfectly honest, I think everybody that attended this meeting tonight is in agreement that the road needs to be improved. It's a no-brainer, right? We all understand that. We all agree with that. I just feel like if we had communicated this project appropriately and given businesses and residents an opportunity to express their concerns, to ask their questions before we were just basically told what the plans were, and here's how it's going to be, and the project starts in a month, we would have had a much better outcome for everybody involved.
Okay, thank you.
So I appreciate everybody's time tonight, and we will reach out if we have additional questions or concerns.
Okay, that sounds great.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Amanda, Jay, or Corey, any? This is that, last part of a public meeting where you just kind of stand around and you wonder when you're gonna stop the meeting.
Well, you just shut up, Jeff, and we're done.
I'll start reading the weather. It'd be like a, what do you call it? Filibuster.
Yeah. Well, I asked Sue if I just text her and asked her if I could meet with her too. So maybe Jeff, you and I and Sue can all meet together.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great. So,
Unless Brian wants to be in on it, but I'm more concerned about the signage and stuff like that is what I'm concerned about.
And we do have one crew that's devoted just to signage in the county. So they, I'm still learning what signs we have available, but they're really good about deploying if we need signs somewhere.
Okay.
It's just
Sue,
a
if you
question
can-
of if we have the right signs. That's something I need to find out.
Yeah, Sue, why don't you check before I make any signs or have any made? Will you just check and see if you have like local businesses
Yes.
open or businesses open, or please, anything having to do with towards, businesses and I don't know, access and that type of stuff. And that way we won't duplicate. And then when we get together here in a week,
Right.
we can make sure we get whatever we need ordered.
Yep. You bet. I can check tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, my heart just goes out to some of our businesses on the north side
absolutely.
because I've been
Me too.
helping them get grant money. I've been helping them get PPP loans, and I've been doing a lot of the paperwork for them. So we just want to make sure. And when Jeff explained that all their water mains, most of them don't know. I didn't know that the water and sewer is on Market Street, so it's not going to affect them for water and sewer. So that's going to be a plus right there. So if I can,
for
I can know
bills
some
and
of
everything
those.
along there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Then I know.
Yeah. Bills, Dorn. I don't think Dorn. I think Dorn is off of Braun Road. But yeah, a lot of
Yes.
those.
Dorn's off Richards, actually, I think.
Or Richards. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Quick
And
Trip.
all of actually,
Burger King are on,
Brian, you guys did that. It was 2015. I think you guys did Market Street and the water main all along there, and had to do all the shutdowns and everything with all those business owners in 2015. Didn't you do that one?
That was
project?
2015. It was actually MSA. That was MSA. We were on Netherwood that
No
year.
wonder it went
But
so
yeah,
well.
they all made it through.
You're so nice. But yeah, if we can do that and you can give me more information, I'd be glad to work with the businesses. It's just,
Absolutely.
I just want, that I have some knowledge of what's really going on.
Okay, sounds great. All right. Well, I'm going to call this. Go ahead.
Jeff, before you go, we've submitted, and for Sue also, we've submitted the Dane County and DNR erosion control permits. I think we definitely have submitted the Dane County one, and hopefully DNR, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at that. We're still on with OCA Media here too, so I want to.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So But yeah, I will take a look at that
Well, you
tomorrow.
can quit if you want. I asked him to be here, so if people had questions.
The what?
Corey asked a question in the chat.
Oh, Corey, okay, for the areas that are down to a single lane during construction, are there requirements to have flaggers be on site even though the road is closed to through traffic?
We've got the
if
village
we
contract set up. Go ahead, Sue.
If we have one lane in each direction, we're not required to have flaggers.
Mhm.
That's how the village contract is set up as well. If in the event there's some oddball reason where they would need to shut it, or convert it to alternating one way, then absolutely there'd be flaggers required. But the
Yeah.
intention is that there'd be one lane in each direction at all times.
I think you had to do flaggers only just a few times out on Park Street for those weird connections and stuff like that. But I was out there almost every day and there was 2 times and it was a very short time period to wait. Okay, thanks, Corey. That's a good question. All right, well, I'm going to call it 8:23, end of the public information meeting. Thank you again to you all. Thank you to OCA Media for having this. And as always, if there's any questions, we'll be putting out some information in the coming days. So thanks. Good seeing you, Judy.
You too.
Thanks,
Take
everybody.
care.
Bye, Sue.
Have a good night.
Okay, good night.
I know.
Bye-bye.